My name is Carmi Palafox, an urban planner and economist. Welcome to Beyond Places, the podcast about the planning, design, and leadership of the communities and cities that we call home. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We will be talking about clean tech and how Stockholm is managing to reduce its emissions despite a growing population and economy. Our guest today is an engineer that has been involved in numerous projects that helped shape places in Sweden and in other countries for 32 years. He was given the confidence to build the project management business area within the Swedish company PE and held various leadership roles in several consulting companies. In 2019, he co-founded Venn Consulting, a value-driven company that works in construction, civil engineering, real estate, infrastructure, urban planning, manufacturing industry, and process industry. They are experts in all stages of construction and have solid experience in the management and administration of the industry's operations. Venn Consulting are currently working on exciting projects, including all project management training for the urban transformation of the city of Stockholm. Welcome, Patric Kjellin.
Thank you, Carmi. It's nice to be here.
It's nice to see you again, and thanks for making time, Patric.
Yeah.
First off, can you tell us about your city, Stockholm?
Yeah, the city of Stockholm is growing quite a lot. Since the beginning of 2000, we have grown more or less with 18%, and Stockholm is also growing. So now the Stockholm County by itself, it has around 2.5 million people, and in Sweden total we have 10.5 million people. So Stockholm by itself is growing, and due to the urbanization, a lot of people move into. We have more or less three big cities in Sweden. It's Stockholm, Malmö, and Gothenburg. And Stockholm is the biggest one. So due to the urbanization and due to the fact that we are growing for the moment, and the fact that we are growing depends on we live a little bit longer. We have the birth rate is increasing, and we have a lot of immigrants in Sweden also. So that's a little bit. So it's very exciting to be in Stockholm. I like the city, and it's happened a lot in the Stockholm County for the moment.
And the city has a grand plan of becoming carbon neutral by 2040. What is the government doing to get there?
When it comes to the carbon important thing that Stockholm is doing for the moment, it's increasing the portion of renewable fuels in the light and heavy vehicle. For example, in all the buses inside Stockholm, it's electrical or gas. We increased a lot of the electrical vehicle as total, both the carpools, etc. And we also rebuilding and expanding the subway, the public transportation, parking, doing a lot in the cycling measurements to take the bicycle inside the city. So that's also so that we have the public transportation and also can take the bicycle. Phasing out the fossil fuels in the district heating. So, and improving all the energy efficiency in the building, existing building portfolio. More or less, a lot of things that doing to reach this goal.
Are there incentives being given out to, for example, buildings and homes to go solar and to use other energy sources?
If we look into the citizens, we have some incentives for the solar. We are going from a lot of electrical vehicles, mostly in the big cities, and also solar panels on the housing. And we're having incentives for that one. I see A lot of people around here, both where I live, and that are putting solar in. So that's some kind of trends and some kind of transmission. Yeah, there are some incentives and also incentives in that case that you get economical your refund built the solar panels, and that they are taking 1 year for 1 year. But as the prices for the electrical is going high, then it's very interesting to put in the solar panels.
What is clean technology?
Clean technology, and also called Cleantech. It is process products, services that reduce the negative environmental impact and due to efficient energy measurements or efficiency improvements. If we look into Stockholm and Sweden, as Stockholm is a lot of tech startups in Stockholm, and also as we are one of Europe's fast-growing cities, that for a tradition to tackling environmental issues and decreasing the emissions at the same time. So we have a great foundation for clean tech clusters.
In Sweden, less than 1% of household waste end up in landfills. How is the country able to recycle 99% of its household waste?
I think that is depending on that we have already 1995, we have a producer responsibility. And back at that time, it was packaging, newspaper, tires, cars, batteries, and electronic waste. So back in 1994, we started to recycle. And then I think that has been for a long time. And now we don't see the waste, we see it more as a valuable resource to have renewables to put in, take the waste, put into and do biofuels, for example, and so we take all the waste and do something new.
How is recycling and waste management done in construction?
We are moving on the right direction, but we need to do a lot of more in the building projects, so to say. But we have some projects that we have started that we are now trying to recycle all the materials. And there are some where we have taken a building, put down, and also label it and to reuse it in new buildings. So that are some projects doing that. But we need to do a lot of more in the building projects.
Can you please share with us some green building practices in Sweden?
We have a lot of energy savings in the building. And for example, we have BREEAM, and we have also a lot of other trying to label and certify the buildings. So we're doing a lot in that area. And what I also have seen, it is that we have done that, but also that we have put that into sustainability reports and that is growing, and that we're using that in the private sector also to see what portfolio, how is the building portfolio done, how is the energy measurements in it, etc. And this is really good, and it's something for the future.
Another country that does green building well is Singapore. And how they do it is you can't even be given a permit if you don't reach a certain level of certification in green building standards. Yeah. In Sweden, what are the certifications and standards?
And the certification you have is a lot of different in the green building, for example. And then you have some kind called Svanemärkt, we have the BREEAM and different levels. So we have different standards in Sweden, so that there are a few standards.
And of course, those who visited Stockholm have seen how preserved the old buildings are. What are the measures in place to encourage the preservation of old buildings?
We have a lot of old buildings, and we have a certification of classification for the old building. When you have an old building, you need to have it like that. So you can do what you want with it. You have, in Sweden, we call it K-märkt. So it's some kind of classification. And then you can do some changes, but it's a very regulatory what you can do and not to do in that building. And that's very good to keep all the old buildings and also restore them. But it's also interesting that what you're saying is the emission that we're talking about, because we have done a lot of the energy savings and we are doing a lot of that. But in the building phase, there are a lot of emissions and it's a lot of things to do there. And there, I think, in Sweden, but also all over the world, we need to do a lot more.
In your industry and perhaps specifically in Sweden, what do you think the challenges are in moving into emissions-free city?
Due to the urbanization and the cities are growing, we need to have the infrastructure in that. We need to also put in the waste management in it. That we are doing a lot in Sweden. But it's, I think that's something to tackle in the future also. So when we're growing, all the waste, all the energy also grows. So, for example, when everybody has an electrical vehicle, where can you load it, etc. So there are some challenges, but that's good also, because then new technology will come and we will see something new in the future.
And you started Venn Consulting. I was quite amazed when I saw your website, because many consulting companies start by bragging about, the projects and the track record. But I was impressed for an engineering and multidisciplinary company. You started with your values?
We started with the values because we have, as we are a consulting company, the people is the most important, and also the customer. Then it's very important to have the right culture, the value in the company. So therefore we started with that one and built everything on that as ground. And that has been a success factor for the moment. So it's really not to build in the culture and the value in the people and who are working together with us, and also together with the customers, of course. So we are believing in seeing, appreciating, and helping each other, and also have the aim for inclusion, sustainable leadership, and gender equality.
What are some of the projects that you're working on right now?
We are working with a lot of different projects. But some of them is, for example, what you mentioned in the beginning. It's education for Stockholm city. That's one of the. Another is in Sweden we have wooden building, not for smaller houses, for bigger houses. Is also increasing a lot. So that we are working with. So we're working with a lot of the wooden building. So, but we're working with construction, product management.
I find that interesting that you're working on wooden buildings.
Yeah.
I think it's something that's being revived in other parts of the world as well. So when you say larger houses, are these apartment buildings or large mansions?
It's apartment building, and what's interesting is that we built with wood a long time ago, and now it has been so. A lot of the new production is in wooden building for the smaller houses, but also for the apartments. And then some part of it is wooden, and some parts is not. And we have some apartments that's all the wood, but. The most of them is some kind of in between.
What do you think brought about this revival of building with wood?
I think the revival has been because concrete by itself has been a little bit. It has been a long discussion regarding the emission from the concrete, and therefore I think the wooden has been taken a new place in the building sector.
And you're working on an exciting project in Angola.
We are working with a solar, large solar project in Angola, where we are delivering the houses.
The people listening to us would like to get in touch with you and learn more about Venn Consulting. What's the best way to do that?
Contact us with mail or through the website.
Thanks so much for speaking with us today, Patric.
The same to you. Keep in touch.
Keep in touch.
Yeah.
Bye. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Beyond Places. I would love to hear from you. Feel free to connect with me on social media and carmipalafox@gmail.com. If you enjoy this podcast, please do subscribe. Bye and see you again in the next episode.